Shasky.
Charlie Boots, man. It's pretty sick. Dave Wyman joining us in seconds. Former linebacker with the Seattle Seahawks and Denver Broncos. Actually attended Stanford. Dave and his brother played at Stanford back in 1983. They were starting on that Stanford Cardinal defense. How about that? And there's a little nuggy-nug about Dave Shasky. He was selected in the second round by the Hawks in 87, 45th overall. Midway through his rookie season in 87, he was traded to the Niners. But he failed a physical due to a bad shoulder and then nullified the trade. He could have been a Niner, Shasky. Could have been a Niner. But now he's embedded with the Seahawks. He's calling games, a color analyst for the Seahawks. He's been doing it for 4 years now. And he'll break down the Hawks here in the Morning Rush on 95.7 The Game. Dave, good morning.
How are you? You're bringing up a bad memory for me.
I'm sorry, man. I know. You could have been a Niner, man, instead of wearing that teal.
You could have been a contender.
Blue. Yeah. You wouldn't have had to play with Dave Craig.
Well, it all worked out for me because I ended up meeting my wife up here, and this is like my 25th year as a broadcaster and player for the Seahawks. So it all worked out. But I'll tell you how stupid I was as a rookie. When I got traded there, they're like, I got there and they gave me a physical, and they're like, so is anything wrong physically? You doing okay? I'm like, yeah, pretty good. I go, my shoulder pops out every once in a while, but other than that, no, I'm good. They're like, all right, well, we better take a look at that shoulder. Well, it turned out I need surgery. And so, yeah, that's what the whole thing came about, because I was very honest.
Man, you're too honest. And maybe it's the Stanford in you, man, because I know you're a Stanford Cardinal, you and your brother. But you're coming back to the Bay this week to call this game. And, look, you guys got an emotional win Monday night against Russell Wilson and the Denver Broncos. Geno Smith played well, but I looked at the second half where they didn't score anything. And we'll get to the defense because they're now in a 3-4, not a 4-3 anymore. But your overall impression of what the Seahawks did offensively Monday night against Denver?
Well, offensively, I just was entirely blown away by Geno, the first half especially. And, I guess it didn't really resonate with me that he had a ball that was tipped in the second half. And I think if that one gets caught, he would have been like 63%. I mean, he wasn't nearly as good, obviously, and they didn't score any points. But what he did, I mean, throwing on the run, the throw to Disley for a touchdown, keeping his eyes up as he's scrambling. And I'm not comparing or anything, but that's something that Russ sometimes couldn't do. When he was trying to scramble, his eyes would go down. And Geno kept his eyes up. He had, I think, 3 throws that were like that. He had another throw where it was a completion to Lockett where he got bumped and hit, and, it didn't affect him, So that's the part I was really impressed by. We've just not seen Geno be that kind of guy, and there's a big question as to whether or not he was going to be able to be the leader and the lead dog. And so far, looks really good. He was good, in the preseason, but that was kind of hopefully his breakout game. On defense, yeah, they're really young. My biggest concern is that they've got some guys that. Well, like Darrell Taylor, some of the young corners. I call Darrell Taylor, it chasing the mailman. He's one of those guys that he's so fast and he flows really fast, but too fast. And he doesn't stay home sometimes. And I'm worried about that Niner running game because I know how sophisticated it is and how good it is and how they will find a way to run the ball on you. So, yeah. It's a young defense, young guys, so they're going to really have to up their discipline game.
So, Dave, Bonte kind of referenced it here. Huge emotional game Monday night. Russ returning. You guys looked great. I thought you guys were supposed to be garbage this year, straight up. I had it chalked up 2 dubs for my Niners. Now I'm like, oh, God, this feels like a must-win. Was that an outlier performance? Is it wait and see? I'm expecting some emotional letdown, but Pete Carroll is always ready to play the 49ers. So, what's your big feeling heading into this game for Seattle? Was that a 1-week outlier? Are you guys in the same camp that we're in, kind of wait and see what team shows up this weekend, or are you guys just better than we all thought?
I think it's wait and see. We just don't know enough, right? I mean, you go, wow, that was, the defense was bend but don't break. I mean, look, they gave up a couple of really long drives, and then got a stop at the 1 yard line. So there's a lot of youth. There's a guy named Tariq Woolen playing corner who, I think he had 2 penalties and then he had a really good play. And, so it's like
he's a hitter though, Dave. He can hit.
I know. I love the play he made out on the edge where he knocks down the receiver and and tackles Devontae Williams. So yeah, it's a wait and see deal because this is young. Like I said, I keep saying young team. And then the other thing is Geno. I don't know if he can continue to do that. Even Rashad Penny, who had a pretty good game. He's one of those guys that he had a couple breakout games last year, but he's pretty much been a disappointment. So, yeah, it's still wait and see. I think this is going to be a really tough team to play right now for this team. I think the Niners are really well coached. And
what do you think of Trey?
The run game. What's that?
What do you guys think of Trey? What do you or Seattle in general, how are you guys viewing this quarterback thing for the 49ers? There has been so much drama. Trey's not good enough. Go back to Jimmy's not good enough. How are you guys viewing the quarterback situation?
Well, first of all, there's lots of Jimmy G admirers here in the Northwest. And, when there was some question that maybe the Seahawks could trade for him or whatever, it was a lot of people were really excited about that. And, I remember the one thing that I was impressed with, me and my co-host of our show, was his farewell to the media. It was so gracious and he was so cool about it, such a nice guy and everything. But, taking his team to the NFC Championship game, and it's not like it was his numbers, but still he kind of guided the ship. And, so, I mean, the way we look at it is Trey Lance is still a huge question mark. What did he play? 17 Division II football games, and he played 6 games last year. He put up a couple 100 yards against the Seahawks, but it's he looks like kind of a mystery, and I feel like he is a beatable quarterback as far as the Seahawks defense facing that. But to me, it's really about guys like Kittle and Juszczyk and whoever they plug in the backfield to run the ball that is going to beat them.
Let me ask you this, Dave, and we're talking to Dave Wyman, color analyst for the Seattle Seahawks, longtime Seahawk, been with them for 25 years, broadcasting, playing. How do Seattle fans view this rivalry? Because we've been throwing that question around. Yeah. We can't stand the Seahawks. You guys have beat the Niners 4 in a row, 13-16. But since the Hawks have moved back into the NFC West, they are 28-13 against the Niners. They've had the Niners number. Is the Niners the number one rival for Seahawk fans? Because the 12s do travel down to the Bay Area, and they take over Levi's Stadium.
Yeah, I think it's still there's lots of longing for the days of Pete Carroll versus Jim Harbaugh, right? I mean, those were the glory days where, you had Kaepernick versus Russ and all that stuff. So, but yeah, I think that it's still the number one. I mean, the Arizona Cardinals, I don't think that's really ever going to be a rivalry between
for anybody in this division.
yeah, exactly. And then the Rams is getting to be a little bit more. Now they have Bobby Wagner, so yeah, I still think it's a Niner. As far as the NFC West goes, it's a Niner rivalry, but I'd like to see it heat back up again. And I don't think it's quite there yet.
No doubt. Real quick, Jamal Adams out for the year. What does that mean for this defense?
It's a huge blow. That guy's such a good player, and a lot of people are saying, "Well, he didn't play up to what they, what they paid him and all that." But honestly, guys, I think that his mind works faster than his body can hold up to. He takes steps, and he's so quick that he ends up hurting himself. He does things that his body isn't built to withstand, and so it's such a shame. And the way they used him in 2020. Was they were getting ready to use him that way, and that's the year he got 9.5 sacks and just was all over the field. Last year, they did not use him correctly, and now we're waiting to see how they're going to use Jamal Adams when he gets hurt. So it's just incredible disappointment.
Dave, you're longing for the days of Niner fans and Seahawk fans hating each other. Let's have a little fun here. I'm spicing this thing up. Y'all 2012s, a.k.a. the team that didn't have fans before 2012, you guys are going to go back to being a doormat in the NFC West. It's going to happen this weekend. You're going to get a high dose of Lance. All these Lance haters that have been out there for the last couple of months getting their rocks off on Jimmy G being a nice guy. Just wait until this week, and you guys are going to go back to being who you thought you were before the season even began. And it was interesting seeing 49er lifer Richard Sherman and the other people out there hating on your greatest quarterback of all time, Russell Wilson.
Oh, boy.
So, Dave, as nice as you are as a man, I got a spice in this. I hate Seattle. You guys are like a startup company, a little tech company. It was a cute little story, but now you're getting bought out by the big blue bloods of the NFL. The Niners are back.
You know what? If this rivalry is going to get going back up again, it's not going to happen between two slappy radio guys.
Well said. Dave, no, seriously, the Russell Wilson hate. I could not believe he did not get a single cheer up there in Seattle. And a lot of people are knocking the fans saying, how can the fans do that in Seattle? How could you boo one of your greatest players in franchise history? I don't care. Those fans paid money for their tickets. They can do what they want to do. But I was shocked to see the rush from Richard Sherman, their hate from Doug Baldwin Jr. What happened in Seattle with Russell Wilson?
Well, it's just like a scorned lover, right? You're kind of angry. I thought the cool thing though was, and I never anticipated this, and this might have been Russell's worst nightmare, is that they were chanting Geno. I turned to Rabel, and I was like, I don't remember anybody ever chanting Russ, So, and look, in 10 years from now, 15 years, whatever, whenever Russ retires, everybody up here is going to love him up. It's going to be, this is just like when Brett Favre went to the Minnesota Vikings, and came back, and everybody, booed him. Of course, they're going to boo him. I didn't think that was a big deal. I think the bigger deal, and what maybe might have bothered Russ, was the fact that they were chanting Geno. I never thought I would hear that.
But you know what? It feels like all those players on those great Seahawks teams, the Doug Baldwins, the Richard Shermans, the Earl Thomases, there's something there against Russell Wilson, man. Like, I couldn't believe Doug Baldwin, who made a living catching all those great passes from Russell Wilson, cannot stand Russ. What is it, because of the Super Bowl loss to New England?
Did he audible? Did he audible? Is that factual? Did he audible at the line?
No, I don't think so. And the other thing nobody ever looks at is the fact that they were in 11 personnel, which means, one tight end,
Dave, don't
one
do
running
it.
back.
Don't do it. You had Marshawn Lynch. Don't do it.
And they had goal line personnel in there, and so they were loaded up to stop the run. Nobody ever wants to look at that. I mean, it's a fan thing. I get it.
It's Marshawn Lynch at the one.
It's the greatest short yardage back possibly outside of Earl Campbell.
If you're a football guy, you throw the ball there. I mean, if you know anything about football, you throw the ball.
Wow, I can't believe it, Dave. I can't believe it. Dave, we're going to do this again the next time the Niners and Seahawks play. You're a good sport, man. Have a good call Sunday. Niners and Hawks, home opener for the Niners. Should be a good one, man. It should be a bloodbath at Levi Stadium.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Thanks, Dave. Dave Wyman, color analyst for the Seattle Seahawks.